Alright, so a big reason that we're really focusing on living north of Denver is because people really love the appeal. They love all the entertainment, the stuff that you can do in Denver, but don't necessarily mean that they want to live in Denver. So that's why we're really exploring these cities just north.
Yeah, and for the locals who are watching this, they're probably wondering, wait, where are you? Dacono? So today we're going to be focusing on Dacono and why it's important for you to keep an eye on this city in the next couple of years.
Alright, let's go. Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Living in Denver with your Colorado real estate family, Pete and Chelsea Sweeney, always helping you out with everything you need to know in regards to moving into Colorado. Also, licensed real estate agent helping you with your real estate purchases in Denver and all the surrounding cities.
Yeah, and right now we're going to be covering where to live north of Denver. So if you're excited about this series, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and also the notification bell. We're putting out 2 videos a week, and you're not going to want to miss this new series. Also, we put our phone number down below, so give us a call or text. You're getting straight to Peter and myself. We are absolutely loving your phone calls and texts.
Yeah, guys, definitely not going to get anyone else besides us. And like I said, most likely you're going to get Chelsea. So let's go ahead and check out the city from the sky's view, maybe some drive-by. Be right back. Alright, so if you haven't checked out our first 2 videos, I highly recommend go checking them out. We talked about Firestone and Frederick. The big reason why I say check them out is because this whole area that we really are discussing, and this is pretty much the third of the final 3 cities, is the Carbon Valley area, right? It's all kind of grouped into one. They share a lot of the same high schools, a lot of the same recreational things, and so that's why it's so important that you kind of check out those other videos. Dacono is definitely by far the smallest one, but also has the most potential.
Yeah, it's funny, we were coming down here to Dacono and we're like, how are we gonna really express, like, you know, Dacono? Because Dacono is really, if you come to Dacono, you're gonna say, wow, it feels like country living, yeah. Right? Like, it has the bare basics. It has your, corner store, so it has the market, it has, you know, your gas station is the liquor store. Like, I mean, it's literally like, it feels like small town. You know, like, I actually grew up in Kansas, and this is just not that far feeling from that.
No,
and I know that
all,
sounds crazy. Like, why are we in Dacono? But there is a very strong reason. So first, give them an example of kind of how big Dacono is and like what it currently is.
Yeah, so currently, I mean, the population is only 6,500 people, which if you check out our other videos, it's literally like half the size of Frederick and Firestone. And so super small, but like I said, it has a ton of potential. And that's a big reason why we really want to cover it, because if there's ever a place that you want to get into before it really blows up, this is it.
Yes.
Here's one thing though, and like I said, I'm really going to dig into the real estate a little bit later in this video, but because Dacono is become so favored to live in, you don't find much for sale here at all, especially the newer stuff. Like, try and buying a newer house here is going to be really hard, just because a lot of people are holding on to their properties. So
yeah, and for a really good reason. Yeah. In fact, when we were looking at the population and looking it up, it's actually increased by 51.66% since 2010.
Yeah.
So even though we're still really, really small here, it's like almost doubled in size. So yeah. It's just awesome to see that people, and by looking at Dacono, you would never ever know that things are coming. But today we're going to dive into what's coming and why it's super, super important to hold on to your property. So, I mean, talk a little bit about the homes currently over here.
Yeah, so the homes currently over here, you're going to see a huge divide between. There are some new builds here. Like I said, nothing like Firestone and Frederick, though. There's like literally like little to new builds in regards to like kind of what you have on your old school side of things. So a lot of houses here that are built more in the 70s and 80s, and that pretty much what occupies the majority of your residences that are in Dacono. The newer houses, you're looking at like mid to even late 2020s. They are still kind of building onto that, but it's definitely going slow. It's not fast. It's not developing very crazy, and I think there's so much, especially Frederick and Firestone, that's going on. Dacono, they're kind of bringing a new aspect into what they want this place to look like. They don't want it to look like your ultimate suburbia, right? They want to kind of do a different flavor that a few other cities in the country are doing, but I think it's kind of cool with what they're doing with their expansion.
Yeah, so when we looked at the plans, without going onto the website, you just go cityofdacono.com, and if you go over there, it's kind of hard to find, but you can find this new comprehensive plan. So Dacono had a plan that was, their old plan was in 2005. They put a new plan, comprehensive plan into place in 2017, and this comprehensive plan is insane. So I looked it up. It has this whole idea, and the big thing about Dacono, which I think is really cool, is they are actually planning for this growth. They're talking about their water, they're talking about transportation, they're designating what each road is going to be like, and they have plans for this. It's a 72-page comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
So when looking at it, it's all color-coded. Peter will kind of dive into a little bit about what each one means, but I'll kind of talk a little bit about the different things that they're trying to divide it into, and it's by these districts. So the first district is going to be the Commerce District. The second one is the multi-generational living, which I think is going to be a big win for Dacono, and we'll tell you why here in a minute. The agrarian living district.
Isn't something they hear too often, so we'll kind of really dig into what that is too.
And then the last one being small town district. So first, let's talk about the agrarian, because I think that's like so right
most
now.
Unique.
Yeah, it's the most unique, but it's also one of the largest portions of the new plan. So real quick, just to give you an idea, what currently exists in Dacono is only half of its
capacity.
Half of its capacity, because the border of where they can build is only half built out, and there's all this extra space, and majority of that space is the agrarian district. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so your ag district is literally like a new age agricultural residential living like hybrid, right? And so, think about your farms and all that stuff. You have farmers, they do their whole thing. This is essentially taking that aspect of farming into the future. Well, they have a lot more community centers. They have more things so that the community come together as farmers, as is, in the past we just had farm next to farm next to farm next to farm. They have resources that are coming into these communities to really help them thrive through community and farming at the same time, which is freaking awesome.
And super popular. In fact, this was actually modeled after a place in California, the Cannery? The Cannery.
Davis,
in Davis, California. And it's also, there's another state too that is also capturing this like new agriculture. They actually call it Aggiehood. So like there's like a thing, like I'm over in Aggiehood. So that's one of the big areas that they're going to be trying to, hold on here at Dacono, is they really want to keep that culture, but they also are planning for growth. So this new plan, like I said, went into plan for 2017, and it's everybody coming together, including the community, on how to plan for this new growth. We talked to you guys about how the corridor is going to shut between, I guess it's really like Thornton to Fort Collins, but the I-25 corridor is going to close in with all these new wonderful neighborhoods. And Dacono knows it's coming. In fact, this plan is going through 2035. So just to give you an idea of how much this community is really planning for that. So, okay, a couple of the other districts I want to tell you about. The Commerce District, this is going to be right off the highway. They have big plans to do huge signage. This is really going to be where all the employment stuff is. It's like their employment center.
We have like restaurants, kind of, a little bit of shopping, but it's
mainly all of their jobs and all of the, all of that building. And that,
which is something that you see a lot. Like I said, right off Frederick, right off Firestone, Loveland, all that stuff. They have this. It's weird. It's just like this newer shopping / restaurant area. A lot of them have it. Dacono definitely doesn't, but it definitely it'll be awesome having that.
And they're gonna try. There's only gonna be 5% residential in that area. There is a small percentage that says employee residential, which I'm sure is just kind of more like stacked housing for when they come into work. I don't know. What do you think that class?
Probably more like apartment use.
So that's only 15% out of all of that district that's actually going to be living situations. Okay, so the second one is the multi-generational living, and this is I think, really planned out. We don't have a ton, say Thornton, right? We're looking in kind of the north area for one of our clients currently, and they were interested in the mother-in-law suites, right? Do you remember what some of the builders are in that area?
So Lennar's your major one. You got your next gens where, they kind of have that mother-in-law suite that's attached to it. I know that...
what was the new one?
Yeah, it's Toll Brothers. Toll Brothers also is trying to do that as well too, but Lennar's your more affordable version of that with their next gen housing. But there's a few of them that are kind of catching on that, hey, you know what? With housing becoming so much more expensive, why don't we have this multi-gen or, style living where you can kind of have that mother-in-law suite if you do want to have an older relative come in and really move in with the family.
Yeah, and so the goal with Dacono in reading this section was talking about how Dacono wants to make sure that the younger people who started their families here, and because it was a lot more affordable, went outside the Denver area to find kind of that nice small community living, can still kind of get grandfathered into this new idea of Dacono, but also for our seniors who bought out here a long time ago and want them to be able to age in place. And so this concept is to, really change this area into a multi-generational so that they're not pushing out any of the community, because it's really important to Dacono to keep the community. And that's why they were, obviously engaged in building this plan. So that multi-generational use is really going to be able to keep the community that they have and, help foster that into what Dacono's going to become.
And so, like when we talked about our Frederick video, if you want to go check it out, Frederick pretty much between these three cities is the one that has your only kind of town center or old town where you could go and gather and all that. When you were kind of looking at the plans, are they going to be building that?
They are, yeah. So the last one is small town, and that's kind of the small town district, and that is going to be pretty much where the community gathers. Like everything that you read is about commercial space with tons of gathering spaces. So I'm expecting or guessing that we're going to start seeing some breweries or some restaurants with some kind of courtyard style like eating scenarios. They had a lot of pictures of what kind of they had visions for these different types of commercial settings, but they really just kept stressing like this is your gathering space, the community coming together, and so that is going to be small town. So when you look at the map on what they're trying to do, along the highway, just like Peter always says, there's going to be the business, and then as you go through the main, so the north part, what is that highway? 52. Okay. Highway 52, that along that highway is going to be where the small town center is, and then everything is going to kind of go south and east for the living situation. So it's going to be a big deal. I think it's going to be huge.
Well, I think, like I said, we've kind of talked about this a few times earlier in the video, is I think Dacono is going to be like your best option to really move somewhere that is going to have so much potential. We're talking about, like I said, the I-25 corridor, how they're trying to build that all in. There's a few cities, great. They've already kind of hit that where they are developing already. I think Dacono has definitely got the most room for a ceiling in regards to what their development looks like.
And we're the closest to Denver out of all of it. We're what? How far are we from Thornton? So Thornton's pretty much
like 15 minutes off the highway from Thornton.
Okay, so 15 minutes. So Thornton is pretty much, I would say Thornton's probably like the most northeast side. Don't you think?
Well, the northernmost city that's really built out on I-25.
Built out and doesn't feel far for people, right? People are like, oh yeah, Thornton. It used to be where people thought the same thing about Thornton as people do about Dacono, right? People are like, wait, Thornton? Like what? Thornton
and
used
Erie's
to be down
up
south.
there, but Erie's more of your like ultimate suburbia. It doesn't have as much of your commerce as Thornton does as well too. But
that's on the west side though.
Yeah, that's on the west side. Yeah, yep.
So this is everything that we've covered so far is the east side of I-25. Yeah. So Thornton is pretty much the most northern point of being built out, which is super close to everything.
Yeah, it is.
That's why we talk about why did we choose Thornton. We have the malls there. You have everything right there. Yeah. Dacono's like 10 minutes away from that. Yeah. So to be able to buy here early, and we've even talked about buying here early.
Yeah, that's true.
We're investors, and like we.
Yeah, like I said, I wish like 5 years ago I would have, because literally under $100, even under $80,000, I could have gotten a house here, and it was just like, man, I wish I would have.
Yeah, before 2017, if you picked out a house here, you scored, because the community didn't know about this new comprehensive plan yet, and now people are probably going to hold on to their houses because they know it's coming and it's going to be big.
Yeah, it is. All right, cool. Let's go and dive into the real estate a little bit. And this is actually, I feel like it's super deceptive, right? Because I looked up all the numbers. Median sales price in Dacono right now is $352. That number is so far off like the median home value, which is more in your $450 area price points, I think a big reason for it is because stuff is not selling in Dacono, and the only thing that is selling are these older homes. Yeah. The houses that are newer, people are still holding on to those because they're waiting for that growth to happen. And so when they purchase like in the mid 2010s, you know, closer to the 2020s, they're like, no, we're going to stay here. We're waiting for this development to happen. So it's houses on the higher price points, which reach your higher home value, more in the 450s, you know, mid 400s. Those ones aren't selling, and that's why it's not incorporated into your median sales price. So it's super deceptive right now because there is not much movement in regards to the newer housing in Dacono. So this is something to really kind of consider, you know what I mean? But I mean, when it finally comes down and they do have more development, we're going to get a lot more accurate numbers in regards to your median sales price.
Well, even cost of living here right now too, right? I mean, what's the cost of living?
Yeah, so your cost of living is right around 110, and like I said, for any of you who haven't really followed our cost of living videos, we have 100 is your national average. So 110, it's a little bit, 10% more than that national average. Still a little bit higher, but ain't nothing compared to a lot of these other cities that we cover.
Yeah, and I don't know how old we're actually standing right outside, what is it, Clem Defour Park. Yeah, and this place is super cool. Like, it has a huge giant splash pad. Like, for being such a small place, it actually has enough, like, the amenities. It doesn't have like a ton of amenities, it has the amenities, right? Everything that you need, but not like much extra yet. But I mean, it definitely is a good place to buy. I just don't think people would it's so quiet. It's so nice.
If it's somewhere where you want to move where it's not established yet, but you're ready for it to blow up and come, this is like pretty much the perfect spot. You know what I mean? Like schooling, we talked about schooling.
Yes.
Your schooling, you're pretty much gonna have to go outside of Dacono for most of it, maybe your high school.
Well, and they still have, so they have the Spark Discovery preschool. They have their own K through 8, which is Thunder Valley, and then they're going to Frederick High School. I did not see anything on there as a middle school, so if you're watching this and you're a Dacono local or please let me know, because I looked everywhere and I could not find a middle school.
Well, you said K through 8 was at Thunder Valley, though. So.
Yeah, but I guess that is middle school now.
Yeah, we incorporate middle school,
That's crazy. Okay, so K through 8, and then high school. So I guess that covers all of them. The preschools here, Thunder Valley's right, they're all kind of really close to each other, and then they go to Frederick High School. So.
All right, cool. So another really cool thing that you might want to know, which is kind of like a more of a local insight into Dacono, is they have IMI. It's a racetrack. If you're a dirt biker, if you want to, their claim to fame in Colorado is that they have the fastest outdoor go-karts. They can raise up to 6 people, and so I highly recommend it. I've been there a few times. Amazing. If you want to get into something like that, where you're racing go-karts, competitively and stuff, they have that there. But we have friends who are huge dirt bikers. They go up there all the freaking time. I think they have like a total of 6 tracks or something like that. But IMI, check it out. It's one of those places that locals have always went to. I know they're constantly always changing the tracks up and such like that in regards to the dirt bike tracks. But yeah, go check it out. If you ever come to check out Dacono, like say for a weekend or something like that, check out IMI.
Yeah, the other thing too, just real quick, I think we should mention is if you do get in here early and you decide to take our advice, you're really close to Frederick, which does have that little downtown while you're waiting for the development. So just kind of a quick heads up, because how close are we from Frederick? I think it was right like 5 minutes.
It's across the street. So 52. So 52 pretty much splits Dacono in Frederick. So boom, this is this. I mean, literally you have like maybe a 5-10 minutes at most drive over to your downtown or small town Frederick.
Yeah, so this is Carbon Valley. We covered all 3 of them. We talked about Firestone being your made residential, brand new builds. Then we talked about Frederick. We talked about it being kind of your downtown with their older homes converted with some newer homes. Now we're talking about Dacono, which hasn't hit yet, but has a huge comprehensive plan come 2035. So that's all of them, right?
Yep, I think so, yeah. And like I said, we're still going to be hitting a few more cities that are north, but they're going to jump onto the other side of I-25, get on the west side, and cover a few more cities north of Denver. So
yeah, if there's any topics that you want us to cover or any areas, or maybe even diving deeper into some of the areas that we've talked about, please let us know. We do this for you. We want you to feel comfortable coming here, using us for your real estate needs, anything that you need to know about houses and buying and living in Colorado.
All right, guys, until next time, we love you. Bye.